Hi, I'm Sheila Triplett Brady. I'm the Executive Director of the Broyhill Family Foundation, and I've been in that position for 23 years, and certainly involved in the community through my job, but also through my personal life. My husband is Judge Robert Brady, who's been a judge for 34 years, so through his involvement in Caldwell County and mine through my job, we are pretty involved in this community. Well, as I omitted to say, I'm a native Caldwell County person who is related to pretty much everybody here. We lived here until I was 10 years old, and then we moved out west until I was 16. We moved back and I finished at Hudson High School and then went away to college and stayed away 20 years, returning and then loving every minute of living here. One thing I like about the community here is its intimacy, it's tight-knit, people are personable and caring. I love the Star and Cross on High Brighton Mountain. I think that's a statement as to who we are in our culture, in our faith, and I love that. Another thing I love that I've noticed when I've lived other places, it's kind of quirky, but the tradition we have of passing a funeral and pulling off to the side of the road. I think that's a lovely tradition that says something about how we respect one another. So those are kind of things that make Caldwell County endearing. Well, the downtown particularly, because my grandmother worked at the Fashion. A lot of people don't remember that, but a lot of people do. And she worked there where Furcott's Fermentables is at the Fashion. And growing up, my parents would drop me off downtown as kind of a babysitting technique, so that my grandmother was there in the Fashion, but I was free to run around downtown to my grandfather's music store, West Avenue Furniture and Music, that was downtown. And that's one thing that is a tradition in Caldwell County that's kind of gone all over the world, and where we kids could be out and not under our parents' supervision, but feel safe. And that is to say, I live just on the fringes of downtown by the Broyhill Walking Park, and my church is downtown. So that whole nucleus of the downtown area has always been special to me. However, I went to Hudson High School, so the south end of the county has some meaning for me too. You know, I have friends from my early childhood that I'm still friends with. I remember back in the day, we, as I said, were left to play outside and invent our own games and so forth. So I have those relationships. Then I went to Hudson High School for 3 years. And when I went there, I was kind of an outsider because we moved here from Los Angeles. And Hudson and Los Angeles, comparatively speaking, are polarized. And so it's amazing, but particularly 13 of my class members and I meet once a month for lunch. And so we keep that bond going all these years later. And so then I have made a lot of new friends, people either that I didn't connect with growing up or that have moved here. It's just an environment here that is conducive to forming relationships and relationships that are meaningful and last. As I said, I'm the executive director of the Broyhill Family Foundation. When I first went to work there, it was kind of free form. The government was not as omnipresent as it is now. And so over the years, as government restrictions have become more structured and more definitive, we've had to adapt in my line of business to those government expectations. I'm pleased to be in the philanthropy business, but philanthropy in the old days and philanthropy now is different. Of course, the needs are different. Lots of things have evolved as society is changing in the nonprofit world. Yes and no. We've adapted to change in that when we lost the furniture industry, we have recovered from that and are recovering from that in diversification in our economic sector. However, I think there's a lot of room for improvement, and we may not have adapted as well as we could have to exploring how to make our community grow. A community that stays the same stagnates. And this community has been very intimate, close, wonderful community, but in reality, we've got to explore avenues of incorporating some outside businesses and economic forces to make us stay viable in the changing world. I think diversification. When we were a single industry community and furniture making was our nucleus, life was pretty simple. But when that left, we faced the challenge of how to redefine ourselves and rebrand ourselves. And we're still seeking to do that. I think we need more market value housing to attract people who can come in and invest in our community, giving us a tax base that allows us to sustain and create programs and opportunities for our citizens. Absolutely, of course, I support and encourage people to support our local businesses. As I mentioned earlier, back in the day we had all these downtown businesses that were staples here, and now we are looking for opportunities to have resources and amenities available for our citizens. So I think that that's a challenge, and it's also a blessing to have that palette that we can paint new opportunities on. The memorable moments I've mentioned before are times we've been left to our own devices as children to go out and create our opportunities for entertainment. You had to be pretty creative back then because we had no cell phones and tablets, and we in fact were lucky to have a television. So all of our entertainment had to be manufactured and created. So you had to be pretty astute to pick up on what could be things that would keep you entertained. Our citizens recognize the need for growth, and our leaders, I think, recognize that too. While some of us would like to keep Caldwell its little humble, intimate environment, we do see the need for change and the need for resources. It's easy to be idealistic and say that loving everybody will solve all our problems, but love has to translate into plans and actions and programs and things that are concrete enough to make a change. And so I think that there are those efforts to make those changes. Cohesiveness. I think when I see all the unrest in the world, I see our citizens doing all kinds of things that are dividing. While we do have our divisions here, we seem to cope with them. We don't have all the social unrest here that they have other places, and that's one reason I love to live here, is because I think we have good people here.